Hello my friends, welcome back to another tutorial. This week I'm going to paint something really nice for, it's just something I think most of you can follow along. A lovely kind of a pink, mauvey, purpley kind of a sunset seascape. Nice and simple. Sun in the sky, nice pinks and mauves, and some little waves just kind of trickling in on the sand. Something nice and simple like that. Well, when I say simple, I'll try and keep it simple if I can. But I just want to have a go off of this beautiful, beautiful scene. So it's an actual photograph, actually. So I think it's going to be a nice one for a change. Pinks, mauves, purples. I think a lot of you would like that. So yeah, grab your brushes if you would like to follow me along. I have my canvas ready to go. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to doing this one. So yes. By the way, I did a tutorial, well not a tutorial, I did a painting of a church. It's on my Facebook page. I was thinking about possibly doing a tutorial on that. Let me know what you think. It's St. Finbar's Church in Cork City. A lot of, I won't say detailed, but a lot of small, fine brushwork. If that's something that you'd like to see painted, do let me know and I'll do a tutorial on that for you. Anyway, back to more important matters, painting. Grab your gear, your brushes or canvas if you want to follow me along. Let's try and have a bit of fun with this. I do hope you like it. Stay tuned. Okay, my friends, here we go. Now there is a reference photograph. Isn't that just divine? Absolutely gorgeous. I love painting these types of scenes. Now I know we've been doing a lot of seascapes recently, but with it being the summertime, I just like to get all these lovely colourful paintings painted. So let's try this one. This will be a nice experiment. Let's see what we can do with this. Okay, I have a 16 by 12 canvas. Okay, upright. I put some masking tape across just the horizon line to give me a good straight edge. What I did to the canvas was I give it one coat of undercoat, white oil-based undercoat, just quickly. I rubbed it down with some very fine sandpaper, and then I got some linseed oil and I gave the painting a very quick rub of linseed oil, just like this, all the way along, up and down, just very quickly. And that just gives us a nice oily surface and a slightly, I won't say wet, because it's almost dried in, but the linseed oil, it just helps the paint move around nicely on the canvas rather than trying to blend it. So this should help. Okay, I'm going to tell you what colours I have for this painting. I have titanium white, Naples yellow, a little magenta, some alizarin crimson, cadmium red, cadmium yellow pale, phaylo blue and lamp black. Now any cadmium yellow you have will do just fine, okay? It's just to get some rich oranges, that kind of thing, and bright white yellows as well. So let's crack on, okay? Let's go and have a bit of fun with this painting. Let's see what we can do. So I'm going to take just any large soft brush, okay? This is quite used, so any large brush we have just to fill in the sky. And let's start. I'm going to dampen my brush and dry it on the tissue so it's just damp, okay? I'm going to start with, I think I'll start with that bright whitey yellow spot in the middle. Let's take some cadmium yellow, some cadmium yellow and some titanium white. Now with those two colours together, this will be quite bright. I want to kind of soften it ever so slightly. So into that, okay, so with these two colours mixed, into that then, I'm going to take some Naples yellow, and the Naples yellow will just soften that right down, okay? Make it nice and soft. I don't want a very luminous whitey kind of a yellow. I want a nice soft, kind of a warmish yellow. So I think Naples yellow with that will really help. Okay? Now I'm going to put this just in the middle. I'm going to take more Naples yellow as it comes up with some white and a little, let's go for magenta. I can see a lot of magenta in this painting, okay? All those pinks. Magenta is the perfect colour for this. Let's put some of that up there, and you can see now the way it's mixing with that yellowy colour, and we're getting some lovely soft yellows and peaches, that kind of hue. Okay, So let's just kind of experiment with this now and see what we can do. I'd like to try and get something nice this week, some nice soft colours. Now a bit more magenta as it comes out, because you can see, if you look at the reference photograph, you can see around the outside there's lots of pinks, isn't there? Now I'm going cautiously. I'm not going to just go in with a rich, vibrant pink straight away. I want to build it up slowly, because if you put on a very rich colour, it gets very overpowering. It's very difficult then to kind of take that back a bit. So I'm just going cautiously. Look, I'm adding little touches of colour into the mix as I go. I'm not overdoing it too soon. Let's go to about there. I'm going to soften that into that yellow. Lovely soft pinks in this sky. It's really nice, isn't it? And the little bit of oil that I have on the canvas now is really kind of helping to soften the colours through as I go. Okay, I'm going to go with some more magenta and take a touch of phaylo blue. Okay, just a touch. And up here, around the sides up here, the corners, okay, I'm just going to kind of start to cool that down ever so gently. So look, bit by bit. Do you understand? Just bit by bit. Don't go crazy too soon in the painting. Just be nice and cautious. Just take a little bit of each colour, just a little, and build it up then. You can just build it up nice and slowly. Bit more blue and a little white. So now we're getting more into the lilac sort of hue. And let's just soften that across. And the same over here. See, I'm darkening them now ever so slightly as I go. Also, because we have a yellow here, be very careful with your lilacs and blues. Don't mix them down into this spot because they go green, okay? A kind of a greeny hue. So just be careful. Now, as it comes down, you can see it starts getting richer down the bottom, doesn't it? So I'm going to start adding a little touch of alizarin crimson to the mix. And I'm going to put that in just around here. And I'm going to kind of soften it upwards. Now, because we have alizarin crimson on the brush, it's going to naturally soften into that yellow much nicer. If I went in there with a kind of a bluey mauve, it would get very muddy very quickly. So I'm starting with this lovely rich alizarin crimson, a little magenta, and I could even just put that colour on its own. Let's go down at an angle. You see the way it falls down at an angle on the painting. Let's just go like this for now. You see, so we're creating this lovely kind of central area then. Then I'm going to take some cadmium red. Now you can see how sparingly I am being with the cadmium red, with all the colours in fact. Just tiny touches on the brush. It's a very dry brush, okay? There's really not much on this brush at the moment. A bit more cadmium red. And I get that nice red just on the top. Like that. Soften it in. Okay, so we're creating just a little bit of direction towards the bottom of this scene. All right, just bring it up a bit more there. I want to kind of soften it out a little bit more. I don't want to show the shape too much. I don't want to kind of exaggerate the shape too much. But I still want to create that kind of effect towards the bottom. Now I'm going to start going much richer with the colours. Crimson, cadmium red, some magenta, so lots of different shades of red, and then a hint of phthalo blue. And let's just start going a little bit richer, okay? I'll leave it soften as it comes to the centre, and then I go back out again with the strong colour. You see that? I'm lifting my brush off as it comes to the centre. And then let's soften that upwards slightly again, upwards and outwards. Now, it doesn't matter if this is not absolutely center of your painting, okay? It really doesn't. In fact, sometimes it's nicer in a landscape like this if the sun is slightly off center. But look, we'll go with what we have. We'll just keep at it. Let's just keep going. Up a little bit more on that side. Okay, now we start going really bluey with the colour. You can see just down at the bottom of that horizon, a real nice rich lilac. So let's get some magenta and phthalo blue. But there's a bit more blue in this mix. You see that? A bit more blue. Now leave it disappear off in the middle again. Pull it in from the center, let it disappear off. And then just go up at the sides ever so slightly. And look, I'm curving my brush ever so slightly, okay? It's just about having a bit of fun with your brushes, really, that's all. And when you're painting something like this, remember, just think in your mind soft colours, okay? Just think nice and soft, and your hands will create that nice soft colour in the painting. Just keep telling yourself that. Now, I'm going to leave it like that just for a moment, and I want to kind of really get some nice rich colours around the centre of that sky, just where the sun is, okay? So I'm going to take another brush, make sure it's nice and clean. Another soft brush. Now, I want to use just paint for this, okay? I'm going to go with some cadmium yellow first, with some white, and then to knock that back ever so slightly, because this now is very vibrant at the moment, I'm going to take a hint of, let's go cadmium red. You could try crimson, but I think a little hint of cadmium red just to warm this yellow slightly. And look, pick up little touches as you go. Again, don't go crazy with the colour. Don't go over the top too soon, okay? You can see I have only a little bit of colour. It's not a big puddle of paint on my palette. It's just a tiny bit in the brush. You see that? Now, I'm going to start by going out. Let me just take a look at this now. Okay, I'm going to warm it again. A bit more cadmium red. So I'm going for really sort of a salmon peachy kind of a colour, okay? Not a yellow. It's like a soft orange for all the world. I think that will complement the colours much better. And I'm going to just flick that from the centre outwards and upwards, okay? Look, just like that. Creating this sort of burst of light coming from the centre out. And you see, because we have a lot of red in the mix, so we've more of an orangey yellow, it's not kind of clashing with the purples. If this was very yellow, this would really clash with those mauves and those pinks. It would get very muddy. But because we have a lot of red in the mix, that's kind of neutralizing any chance of any kind of greeny, muddy colours. Okay, now that's not bad. Not bad at all. I think the next step for me now is to soften all of this up and follow the brushes. Look, follow the brush strokes up like that. Up and down, up and down. Let's soften it right in. And we can come down to the end. And we can soften them in here. And then let's just go across it very gently. I did want to simplify the sky, but at the same time, it's really all about that burst of light in the centre, isn't it? For me anyway. That's really what catches the eye as soon as I look at the picture. It's that burst of whitey yellow in the middle. I'm then going to go for some cadmium yellow. Little touch of that and lots of white, okay? So we have a very bright, whitey white, okay? A very bright, bright, bright whitey yellow. And from the centre, let's just go out like that. Soften it, flick it upwards, look, flick it out and up. And you see, already we have this wonderful glow. Now let's take some white on its own, little white, and let's just go right in the middle. flick it upwards, just around the center, look. I go slightly higher and bring it down almost like a feather. You see that? The shape of a feather. And I'm thinking then, just maybe in the very middle, little dot of white just in the middle there, look. Soften it out. Isn't that lovely? It almost looks like the cloud is going in front of the sun, doesn't it? So I really like that now, that's nice. Then let's just take our soft brush again and just soften all of this in the center upwards, okay? Just around the edge of this one down here. I don't want to soften it too much at the bottom. I like that kind of sharp piece just in the middle. And just to make it look even, I'm just going to put another little bit of it out on this side as well. You see, just a touch with the brush, that's all. And I'm going to leave it at that. We're finished. That's it. Ocean next. Remove the masking tape and there we have a lovely clean line. Isn't that wonderful? I'm very happy with this. Now it's coming on nice so far, isn't it? I was kind of apprehensive about the sky. I think once you've the sky done, it's the difficult part is finished. Everything else after that just kind of naturally follows. So again, I'm going to go with this brush and start just filling in all these colours, all these background colours, let's call them, okay? I start with that plum again. Look, nice plum. Let's mix a nice plum. Take some thinners on your brush. Let's get some magenta, a little crimson. And I'm mixing plenty now, yes? Little phaylo blue. You could go more on the cool side if you like. Slightly cooler just to begin with. And maybe take a hint of white into that. Again, just to kind of brighten it slightly, make it that little bit chalky. I like it when it's that little kind of, there's a little bit of chalkiness to the colour, because it means you can cover the canvas nicely. Now let's just go along a horizon line. There seems to be a slightly dark line across the top where they meet. It kind of acts as a nice separation. In fact, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take a hint of cadmium red as well into this, just to dull it down a little bit. Let's pull across. I won't go all the way. Let's stop around there. Because I want to leave the center for my brighter colours. Alright, let's try that again. Let's go over here. Push down hard on your brush, that gives you a straight line, okay? You can see it's just sort of darker on the sides up here. Now I'm going to start taking a bit more darker colour, tiny touch of blue and a tiny touch of black with a hint of crimson, okay? I'm going slightly duller than with the colour, you see? Okay, that's some of the darks. You can see there's a couple of other of those kinds of dark colours along here. Let's just kind of put some of those darks in where we can see hints of that colour. Couple there. Let's just bring this down slightly. So I'm leaving all the centre area for our nice warm peaches and mauves, okay? Now let's start filling in the centre. I'm just going to dampen this brush and give it a wipe on the tissue. I don't need to clean it completely because we have hints of mauve here anyway. So let's take some cadmium red, little crimson, and into that I'm going to go with some Naples yellow. And then possibly a little hint of white, okay? But there's a lot more Naples yellow in this. You can see it's a very sort of a pasty colour. That's nice, I like that. Let's just go along here first. Let's push up Squeeze that line just across the top there like that, yeah? Squeeze it across nice and carefully. And then let's just fill bright area in. Now you can see how thin my layers are. They're very, very thin. And I want to keep them nice and thin. I need to get some more Naples yellow. I got a couple of questions about my Naples yellow as well. People were asking me, is it Naples yellow hue or what? It's just regular Naples yellow, look. Naples yellow. Georgian. Fantastic manufacturer. I use all Georgian colours because they're just fantastic. And they're not expensive, really. They're really, really not expensive at all. So try them. They're lovely. Let's go with some crimson. Some Naples yellow. Let's pop that in, you see, slightly richer now. Slightly richer. And we can soften back these slightly as well, okay? Next I'm going to take some Naples yellow. I'm going to take some white into that. So again, it's lightening. It's all about lightening the colour here and there now as you go. Soften it outwards, soften it outwards. And what I love about the Naples yellow is it's really a chalky pastel kind of a colour. Do you understand? So it gives you a lot of flexibility. So I know I can put lots of Naples yellow into this and it just will not overpower the painting. I know because it's such a soft colour, it gives you lots to play with. Do you understand what I mean? You can do a lot of different things with this colour and it just won't mess up so easily. A little bit of pink in. Now I'm not going to make it very pinky and very purpley. I will be adding some black into some of these mixes very, very shortly. Because I find a little hint of black will make it perhaps like a more natural kind of a shade. So for example, if I take some phaylo blue, some magenta, and a little black, okay? I'd say probably a bit more magenta in the mix. You can see that's a very blacky kind of a grey hue, isn't it? I could pop a little bit of that in, just barely touching the canvas, look. And this is all just a rough work. I will be going on to a smaller brush in a moment, small flat brush, and putting more movement in as we go. As it comes down then, look, you see, it's just kind of flicking little bits of that darker colour in here and there. A lot of bright blue down at the bottom as well, isn't there? So I tend to put in some of the darker colours first before putting in some lights. Okay, so now it's starting to take shape. It's starting. You're building up your colours slowly. I'm going to soften all of these in. Left to right all the time, okay? Especially with seascapes. Left to right, left to right. There we go. All right. We are doing well. Next, I'm going to take a flat brush. A nice, sharp, crisp, flat brush. Something with a nice, sharp edge on it, okay? Dampen that. And let's see now, let's start bringing some more, I suppose, more shape to all of this. I'm going to start getting some warm colours. I'm going to take some Naples yellow. Now I need a lot more Naples yellow, don't I? You see, and that's another thing about Naples yellow. Even if I have a lot of Naples yellow on my palette, you go through a lot of it, okay? You use a lot of Naples yellow because it's so forgiving. It's not a very strong colour like phthalo blue or crimson, for example, or cadmium yellow. It's a real soft colour and you can do a huge amount with this. So you can take as much as you like and it will not ruin your painting. So let's get some nice Naples yellow with cadmium red. I'm going to start flicking in some of this warmer shade, you see? And it's kind of naturally then picking up some of that pink and purple underneath, and it's creating kind of different shades. Just give your brush a wipe every now and then, okay? It's good practice to keep the colours nice and fresh. And I'm kind of going through this quickly enough, but you can really take your time at home, okay? You can just stop the video, pause the video, and really take your time. I'm literally now just flicking my brush left and right, that kind of in motion, okay? Little flicks, left and right, and just allow that paint to kind of merge together. I really want to catch the nice warmth effect in the center of the painting here. So I'm putting plenty of it on just around the middle. And take a bit more cadmium red. You could warm it a little bit more. As you get to the purple, a little more cadmium red. So you see I'm just kind of creating little bits of movement on the water, and we're slowly getting there. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Now I'm going to go over into this, and I just want to kind of knock some of this back. I feel it's probably a little bit strong, so simply take some of this pinky colour and just soften it through here and there. And that then will knock this right back into the distance. Do the same on this side. Let's just pop a little, because the light will be hitting here and there across on the dark side as well. Now I'm going to clean that, and I'm going to put in my little dark kind of a wave here. Let's mix a nice dark colour for that. Let's go black, alizarin crimson, and some magenta. Very dark, rich, pinky, blacky pink, okay? Let's just go along like this, and it comes in and it turns, it kind of falls down and comes out, doesn't it? Now I'm going to start flicking it downwards and outwards, you see that? If you find it's a little bit too wet, just give your brush a wipe on some tissue, okay? Now let this bottom piece here soften away out as it comes into the light, you see that? I'm just using the tip of my brush and just kind of flicking it left and right as it comes out, you see that? To let that disappear down into the water underneath. Now as it comes down, let's take a touch of blue in that. Let's just blue it up ever so slightly. Then I'll take a hint more of the crimson. As it comes out towards the center, then I'm going to start adding more crimson into this, okay? You see? Little touches of crimson here and there. Just where the light is hitting the water, it'll be nice and warm, okay? Now let's carry on that colour just here and there across the canvas. Look, with the tip of the brush, flicking it, tiny little flicks. You can use a palette knife for this if you like, or you can get a small pointy brush. It's entirely up to yourself. But I find just a little flat brush like this, it just gives a nice natural looking kind of a flick on the canvas. Do you understand? Okay. I'm now going to go very dark with this. I'm going to take some black and some magenta, okay? And I'm going really, really dark, a hint of blue. And I'm going to go right up in here and bring that colour right in. Maybe a bit more magenta. Let it soften out. Let's try a little bit of crimson. Pop a little bit of crimson in there. Do you know, just have a bit of fun. Just pop some colours in there and see what happens. Look, it's only paint. If you ruin it, you can just rub it off with some tissue, or, you know, just leave it dry a little bit and go over it again. It's only paint. Try not to worry too much. I'm going to use that colour just a little bit up here. See those darks? Just to create a little bit of shading up overhead. I'm just letting the brush touch the canvas here and there, that's all. Little wiggles, little flicks with the brush. Okay, and remember, step back and sit back and take a look every now and then. I got some crimson and some cadmium red. It's a very rich, dark, winey, plummy kind of a colour. And I'm going to come down here and just start putting some of that in there. Now what you'll find is, when you're painting wet on wet, which is what I do all the time, you'll always find that the colour almost immediately mixes with the shade underneath. Do you know, and when that happens, just kind of keep going back and grabbing little touches of extra colour, okay? So for example, I want to add more cadmium red. I just want to make this slightly reddier as it comes down on this side over here. So I'm just going to pop some cadmium red in, and you can see it's softening in almost straight away. Just go and pick up another touch of cadmium red, little touches, and go again. All right. So you can see, that's just have a bit of fun. Just be nice and laid back about all this. Come over here, let's add a little shade over here, a little bit of dark popping in. It's really, I suppose, just to add some movement to all of this water. That's really all I'm doing, okay? A little bit of movement and a little bit of shade here and there. Now, if you really want to go to town, you could put little wiggles like this, look. You could just keep the brush on the canvas and put lots of little wiggles like this, like little snakes. Lots of those. You could do that. And that's effective as well. It does work. Take a bit more blue. So you could mix and match. You could do some flicks, like that. Then you could do some wiggles, like so. And that then right away gives you nice movement on the water. Right away, doesn't it? Now I got more crimson. Add a bit more crimson in down here. Now this, what I'm doing here, will be the darker shades in between that light blue. You can see lots of those little dark bits here and there. That's what this will be eventually. I'll be putting some nice light blues on this then, okay? Like kind of soft blues over this, in between all of this. So at the moment now, we're just having some fun, throwing paint on the canvas and just letting our hands run free. Let's just go for it. Now, let's sit back. Okay. There. How's that so far now? That's not bad now at all, is it? Right, I'm going to clean this brush now and clean it very well. And I'm going to change my turpentine, which is gone very dirty. Flick my tissue over. Pop some new fresh thinners. I have turpentine with some linseed oil in it, okay? Just a spoonful of linseed oil into a good small bottle of turpentine like this. It's enough just to make it nice and sort of oily and almost like slippery, okay? That's all. And that's my thinners. That's what I use then for thinning my paint. Okay, I'm going to put in a dark blue across here first. Let's get that in. Take some phthalo blue and magenta. Okay, plenty of each now, don't be shy. And a touch of white. Now let's have a look. Okay, that's good. I'm just going to pop that. You see that line that comes in there, that very dark line? Just comes in there, doesn't it? Let's just pop a little wiggle of a line across here, leave it disappear out. This is just the beginnings now of our crashing wave just at the front here. Now I'm going to kind of soften that out just a little bit as it goes up. And what I'm also going to do is, while I have this nice rich kind of colour, I'm also going to start adding some of that in just here and there as well, okay? Just a little flick of it here and there. And that then, you see, it kind of helps kind of bring the painting together, so we don't end up having just one thick line of blue going across our painting. What we want to do is incorporate this colour throughout the painting, just here and there, just enough to balance the painting, okay? Just enough. One or two just in the distance up there, little touches of that blue. Especially just down at the bottom of that. Okay, one or two around here and there and there. Okay, there we go. Then I'm going to take some black with blue. I'm going to go really dark. Bit more black. And I'm simply, literally, look, I'm just kind of wiggling the brush around here and there, just to create a little bit of movement in it, that's all. Let's take some magenta, pop a little magenta in here and there. So all these little touches of pinks and so on, you see, they're all complementing the painting. It's all about complementing the colours. Pinks, purples, blues, and kind of warm yellowy oranges. They all complement one another in the painting. All right, that's that done. Okay, nice simple job, I would think. I'm going to take some white now. Put some white into this mix down here. So I want a nice warm mauve again. A little bit of blue, a little bit of magenta, and some white. And I'm going to start softening this outwards, okay? Bit more magenta, I think. Just come along here and pop that in. Now leave it kind of go off, almost disappearing, all right? And then pulling the two colours together, just creating a little bit of movement, you see? There we go. So you're still following? I hope you are. Now I want to get some very rich blue with a little magenta, and I just want to pop that in around the centre because it's very bluey, isn't it? It's a very purpley blue, just around the middle. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do with this is just pull very gently this down and out, okay? I go this side as well, just to create a little more direction towards the left as well. and then over to the right. Okay? Right, I'm going to go for a slightly bigger brush and fill this in. I'll go back to my big brush because I still have all the similar colours on there anyway. Let's go with some blue, some magenta, and some white. Now, that's a bit blue, isn't it? Let's take more magenta. So if you don't like a colour, just pick up a bit more red or a bit more blue or vice versa. Okay? That's all you have to do. There. Now I like that. Bring that down here. You can carry on with a smaller brush if you like, absolutely. But I just like to get them done with this big brush. It's just much quicker. Okay. Back to our smaller flat brush. Give it a good clean out. And I'm going to start warming it slightly now. Magenta, crimson, and a hint of that blue. So you can see really now I'm just kind of alternating between pinks and blues. That's really all I'm doing. Okay? Bring a bit more pink down into this. Gets nice and pinky down here, doesn't it? Bit of white. Now, although it's very subtle, you can still see it, can't you? You can still see it's very, 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 very subtle. Now, what I want to do is, just to complement, I don't want to kind of create a separation between these two. So I'm going to bring some of this colour up into here, okay? Some of this lovely bluey colour. A bluey kind of a pinky colour. And I'm going to go up and start popping that in up there. You can see then it starts kind of almost softening together, but not quite. So we're kind of bringing the painting together. I don't want to separate the painting in two halves. So by doing this, you're transitioning from this blue upwards into the painting. Okay, this is very good practice if you're doing a sunset or anything like that with a field, for example. So you would put hints of the colour sky down in your field as well, and that really helps. Okay, now I'll stop again. I'll stand back and take a quick look. There we go. So I'm waiting to do the lights last. Okay, I'll do all the bright colours at the very, very end. Let me see now. Let me have a look around and see. Okay, I think we should start putting some brighter blues and pinks in. Let's try it. A nice clean palette down here. Mauve, phthalo blue, and lots of white. And I'm going more mauve, okay, so more magenta in this. So it's like a very bright pink with a hint of blue, basically. I'd say that's probably the easiest way to describe it. But not a white, okay? I don't want to go too white with this. Nice bright pink. And let's just start putting that in. And you see then, it starts mixing with the colours already there, you see. So just keep kind of reloading your brush after every couple of brush strokes. A bit more pink. Again, get more pink in there. Come down here and pop that in. And particularly down in the bottom half, you can do your snaky effect as well. That's very effective. It creates this sort of, do you know that type of direction when the foam is kind of breaking up along the sand. You see that? Do you ever look at the way the ocean does that when it's just kind of breaking away? It has all these little wiggles all over the place. You see? So it's slowly starting to kind of come out from the canvas. Now I'm going to start using a bit more crimson with white. And I just want to just kind of keep adding a bit more pink, especially around the center. You see around where the sun hits the center, especially around there. And we can start putting some of that up here as well. So now we've gone from using our darks into starting to use our lights. So I'm going to start brightening all of this now. Brighten it all up. Come over here, put a little piece in there. And I haven't even got to the best part yet. When I start putting in my bright whitey colours, that's when it's really going to almost jump off of the canvas, I hope. But the best is yet to come, I think. I hope. When I'm painting, I'm always hopeful that it's going to look okay. I'm never 100% sure if something is going to work or not. It's just trial and error. Now, I've often, plenty of times, on plenty of occasions, ruined tutorials. Because I too am learning as I'm going. Okay, I'm not an expert by any means. I learn new things with every single painting, as do we all. So I'm no expert. Okay, there we go. It's building up nicely. Albeit nice and slowly. Okay, right. I'm going to take some of this blacky colour down here. I'm just going to strengthen some of this here and there, okay? You see, just a touch. Just a touch. Then I'm going to start getting some nice bright colours. I go to some titanium white, a little phaylo blue, and a hint of magenta. Now I'm going to start forming the edge of this wave down here. You see that? The way it kind of comes across. Now I will start putting in my brighter colours. So I'm just simply using lots of white with a little bit of magenta and then a little bit of phaylo blue. I'm going to go in here to create this effect of the wave turning in here and leave it disappear off. Now I'm flicking it downwards like this and out, okay? Up like that. Leave it soften away at the back. See? So we're creating two separate sort of waves. And come around here like this. And you can see it's not like, you know, they're not completely flat straight lines as such. You're just kind of dabbing, a little bit of dabbing, and you know, there's a bit of everything. A little bit of dabbing, a little bit of swirling around. It's really all about just creating movement on the surface of this water here. That's all. Creating lots of movement. Let's go with some crimson and some white. I get some nice pinks. I get some really nice bright pinks in around the center here. You see the way I'm being very random now with all of this. Also, you know, I'm sure there are lots of seascape artists out there who would probably see this and have their own idea and maybe possibly even a better way of doing it. Absolutely. You know, if you have any hints or tips for me, please do let me know, because I like to learn as I'm going as well. Okay, I learn a lot from listening to other artists as well. I'm by no means an expert, but I have my own technique which I like using, and you know, it works. So now we're kind of getting there slowly. I'm going to just start softening some of this now out very slightly, okay? And I just want to create a bit more of a curve in around here. So I'm going to take a small brush and I'm going to go with some nice warm colour. I'll take some crimson, some cadmium red, a little hint of blue, a little touch of turpentine, a very dark plummy kind of a colour. I'm just going to go and kind of add little darks here and there just to break up this area just slightly. Maybe even get some of the blue as well. Why not? Come on, let's go crazy. Let's go for it. And it's basically kind of, you can almost see the colour of the sand underneath this water. It's very thin, this water, so you can almost see the slight hints of sandy colour underneath. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take a very rich dark blue, little magenta, and a hint of black. And I'm going to go in under this here like that, look. Pop that in, maybe a hint of crimson as well. The pink will just warm it and darken it as well at the same time. And I put a little bit of that then over here as well, refining the edge of that. Now I'm going to make this a bit more curvy, all right? And I'll show you how I'm going to do it. Firstly, I'm going to take some blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to soften, see this line? I'm going to soften this upwards into the white above, creating a little ruffled effect. You see that effect of the wave just catching some shade where it's breaking? So I'm just going to kind of flick it around in little circles. I hope you can see this okay, you can. Around the little circles, soften it up. I'm softening it up into that whitey colour, you see that? So that's just creating a little bit of a turn on the foam. Almost showing it turning over. I hope. That's my plan. I'm going to make this more curvy here. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to take some of that darker colour and I'm going to just kind of go over here and create a bit more of a curve on that. Okay, let it break off here and there. Now I'm going to get some white and a hint of blue. I have a very whitey blue here now, okay? I'm just going to go along here and kind of dab that colour in here and there. And I'm just literally kind of creating just to highlight from those waves. Maybe a touch more blue. I think it needs to be nice and rich, doesn't it? Just to start off. You see? Pop it in just like that. Then I'm going to soften just where they meet again. You see that? Soften that down. I literally just want to create a nice kind of a turn where the light meets the dark, shadowy side, okay? That's all I want to do. Let's try the same on the other side over here. Let's just get a little bit of that bright colour, pop it in over there. You could even add a little touch of it along here and there on the top of that wave. Now I won't go too bright with this, but I'm conscious of the fact that this will mix with the colours I already have on there. So it's not going to be just pure white all the way. You can see the way it's mixing with the colours which I have already. Get even some of that light pink. Let's get some light pink going. Pop a little bit of that in here and there. Again, and create this bit of shadow down here. Okay, I think I'll start putting in some lights, some nice lights here and there. Let's, okay, I think we'll stick with this brush. Or we could go with perhaps even a bit of palette knife or something. I'll get another clean flat brush, look, okay? I'm going to get a nice warm colour. Take some Naples yellow. And crimson. Let's try those two colours. A nice rich peach, okay? Let's start lightening just underneath where that sun is, okay? Simply just flicking the brush around. I'm going to come down here and start putting in. Now you see the way I have more Naples yellow on that. Well, for now, I think I need to add more pink. Only because I don't want this going any kind of a muddy colour. So a pink will soften much easier into these blues. You see that? And we can come down here, start lightening, popping some of that colour in around here and there. And we can begin to see it take shape, can't we? Ever so slowly. Now, let's go again. Get some white into this. I'm going to go up here just underneath that. I'm going to just let the brush just sort of drag little touches of that colour off. Isn't that lovely? You can see with little wiggles here and there, just one or two. Okay, just one or two. Now, I think I'll soften this ever so slightly. Just along the edges, see, just kind of help send it off into the distance. Almost disappear. Soft brush really helps for this kind of work. Okay, I'll leave that for now. In fact, I might even get a palette knife and do a little bit with the palette knife. Now I'm going to use my flat edged palette knife. Let's take tiny touch of titanium white, cadmium yellow, tiny touch of that, and some white. Going for a very, very bright white, okay? I'm just going to pop a little of that in here and there. And sometimes with this kind of work you can have happy accidents. So sometimes you might end up putting a little dollop of paint somewhere you didn't intend, but it could look fantastic. Let's just rub it off up there. Okay, take another hint of that. Maybe okay, so I'm going to leave that white for now, just for now. I might actually, what I will do is pop a little touch of white just in around the middle. I think just to give it a little bit more of a glow. Just a touch, okay? There we go. A tiny bit is all you need. Now, the next thing I want to do is just create one or two little pieces coming off of this. I'll put a little wiggle like that. Okay. Let it disappear off. A bit more of a curve perhaps, maybe even getting thicker as it comes out like that. You see? So it's kind of almost breaking into another one. Then a little bit of dark colour, just a little bit coming off of that, just to give it a bit of shade. Alright, let's take a bit more. Pull it out, let that soften away. Okay, so creating just one or two small little darks here and there. Now nice dark as well in here. Splitting those apart, and as it comes in you can see there's sort of another one that kind of breaks off like that. It gets very sort of messy in around there, doesn't it? One or two around here, and it's just, look, it's basically just, you know, have a bit of fun creating a little shadow in there like that. Then you could also add a few little bits here and there, kind of breaking up this part as well. Now I'm going to start putting in some real nice brights down here. I'm going to go back to my nice flat brush that I had earlier. Give that a good clean. I want to start putting in some really nice brights on this, okay? With the tip of my flat brush. Just take some white and a little phaylo blue. And let's simply just start lightening. Now, especially on top of the wave. You see the way that's cresting there, look? Little bit on top of that. Just let that brush dance around. When our colour starts getting muddy, just take another little bit of blue and a little bit of white. You see, just keep going and keep adding more and more. Go out here then and start lightening all of this. It almost kind of disappears from the top of the wave back into the ocean behind, doesn't it? Almost like a continuation. Just wiggle the brush around, look. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. A couple of wiggles here and there. And that'll brighten it all up. So now just concentrating on some brights. I'm fairly happy with this tutorial so far. I think it turned out quite nice. Let me know what you think. Now clean the brush. Go back to that again. Over here, let's get some nice bright blues. You see that? Nice bright blues. It's almost as if it's coming from the top of the wave and falling backwards into the water behind, isn't it? That's the feeling I get by looking at the picture. Come down here then, and let's just pop a couple in here to bring them down, bring those lights, nice bright colors, right down. And, you know, create a little bit of movement down here. Again, keep your brush nice and clean. You can, if you wish, use a palette knife as well for this. That will give you a much more refined kind of a brush stroke or mark with your paint. Give it a much more body, if you like. But I just find sometimes the softness of the brush works just enough. I don't want to turn this into a knife painting as such. So I think just a little bit of this is enough. A little bit goes a long way, if you understand what I mean. Now I'm just going to drag some of the top of that back. Okay, just drag it back just slightly. Then I'm going to get my small pointy brush and I'm going to go with some nice rich bright color on top of that. Okay, phaylo blue and white. Nice thick paint, and let's go right across the top of that and give it a little, just a little touch of, you know, lumps of color here and there. You see that? So it's just kind of, I suppose, separating it slightly, but not too much. Do you understand? And you can go back out then into the ocean behind as well with some of this. Come down here, do a bit of that down inside this part here. Look, let's just give it a couple little wiggles here and there. Create some nice movement. Okay, now, next thing I'm going to do is simply, with a small soft brush, I'm just going to pull some of them down. See that? Just a little. Just to bring them down into the wave, just slightly. The next thing I'm going to do is possibly just add a few lights. Let me get some titanium white on my palette. A couple of lights from the sun, here and there. And my friends, I think we'll call this finished. So let's get some crimson, little Naples yellow. Oh yes, we have the sand to do as well. I forgot about the sand. Let's go up here and just give this a couple of little lights. Look. And we can bring some of those down here as well. Also, we could pop a few across the top of that white. Okay. And maybe one or two hitting around here as well. And on top of the wave. So you see, just playing around with the brush, that's all. Now I do want to add just some of that brightness down here. I think it needs it. Just so that it doesn't stop completely in the center of the painting. I want to just bring some of that down in here. Okay, some of this very bright color. Just like that, look, just a little touch of it. Okay, let's do the sand. I'm looking forward to getting this sand done. So I might need some burnt umber. Let me grab some burnt umber. Just a little, tiny bit. Let's take some burnt umber. I'll take a little black and some magenta. Okay, so you see the magenta then will tie in with all those pinks. Okay, burnt umber, black and magenta. You see how that just ties right in now with those pinky colours. Let's go up under here, just nice and carefully. Now you can see that's quite wet. See that? Let me just soften it out firstly. I'm going to take some black, just to create a little bit of tone in this, and pull some black in from this side. Okay, like that. Soften it out. Then I'm going to take some of this light, kind of a lilac colour, okay, light pink, and I'm just going to pull some of that through that dark, you see, just along where it meets the wave. And soften that back in. There we go. Now let's take a soft brush and just soften all of this together. Very gently, trying not to hit the water. Okay. Then I'll take some rich black and just pop a really dark, let's take a little bit of blue as well. Rich black with a bit of blue, and let's create a nice dark in under here. Now you see that really sits everything right down, doesn't it? Then it gets nice and thick from here on, doesn't it? And there we go. Now I will also soften this very slightly into the sand, okay? See the way I'm just kind of breaking up the edge with my brush. Soften it back ever so slightly. So it's not just a solid line. We don't want solid lines, nice soft lines. Okay? And my friends, I think I'll call that finished. I have one last thing to do. Now you could add little bits here and there if you like. It's completely up to yourself. I just personally, I don't like overdoing scenes like this. Have to put a little bird in up there. Just a small bird. Let me take a look around now. Okay, how about we get a palette knife? We get some white. I mean, how about we just pop a little touch of white in here and there, look. Just to add to the brightness of some of this. Just a dab of it here and there, look. Not overdoing it, just a little dab of it. Just to really set off the edge of that wave crest coming in. Doesn't that now just kind of, it just gives it a bit of something, doesn't it? A little bit up there. A little bit there. Now, I am going to over here, I am going to just soften this down into the wave, just a little with my knife. And that's it, my friends. I am calling this one finished. I'm very happy with that. I may just soften again ever so slightly, just as I go off into the distance. I'm just going to soften them out slightly, okay? So the majority of the detail then is focused on just here. Now, one thing I think I should do is if I take a little of that light pink and just go on top of this wave here. I think that will just help. Okay, that's fine. And we're done, my friends. There we are. I hope you've enjoyed this. I really, really do. Let me turn the camera so you can see myself. And with that, I'll say thank you so much for watching. It was a bit lengthy, I know. I may split this into part 1 and part 2. I'll see how it goes. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And do try it. It was a lot of fun, and I really love that burst of brightness in the sky. It just sets the whole painting off. Do try and just simplify it if you want, or just take little aspects of the painting and use them yourself in your own paintings. You know, little hints and tips. Have fun, my friends. Happy painting. Do subscribe. Thank you so much for all your support, especially you on Patreon as well. I sincerely appreciate all your help and support. Pop over there if you think you'd like to see more like this. Pop over to Patreon and have a look, see what's there. Take care, my friends. God bless. I'll see you next week, and happy painting.